record. Okay. Okay, Yana, I've got you unmuted, and I'm going to mute myself, and you can go ahead and get started.
Alrighty. So today we have a presentation for material takeoffs. It's not just metal, it's going to be about all material takeoffs. And Margie will be helping me today. Thank you so much, Margie. Okay, a couple words about Margie. Who never met Margie, or who doesn't know who's Margie? Margie was in Walters & Wolff working for almost 15 years, and she was doing drafting, takeoffs, panels, all kinds of things drafting related. She works in Laverne office, and she's been very good help to me. I don't know what I would do without her. So here's Margie and her two adorable daughters and her adorable husband Joel, who used to work in Walters & Wolff too. So we call the kids 100% made in Walters & Wolff. You might hear them today too, because they are very close, right, Margie?
Yes.
And,
I'm mute right now, so it's okay.
So this is me, and who never met me, my name is Yana, and I work in the Takeoff group. I was in company for almost 14 years right now. So yeah, mostly I was working in Takeoff group. I was doing a little bit of drafting, but I was faithful to the Takeoff group, and I was doing pubs and pretty much everything. And in the last 2 years, I was primarily doing the takeoffs for all the jobs, for all the Revit jobs. Alrighty. So, when do we order materials for the project? It was a kind of tricky question for me. I had to do a little bit research. So it's all based on vendors, on lead time, when this material needs to be in the shop. So material needs to be in the shop 2 weeks before they start fabrication. So for vendor, usual time is 14 weeks. And based on it, this is when our takeoff starts. We have a 1 week to do the takeoffs, and the next week, the order needs to be placed with header. So everything needs to be aligned. Also very important, so everybody available, me and Margie available, Heather available, purchasing. Sometimes our lead time is based on a glass. Like for example, for Google Gibraltar, we had 20 weeks lead time because it's a view glass and it's a little bit more time. So we had to start our material takeoffs earlier. So, and I already mentioned why we have a strict deadline, just because we have to meet the deadline to place our material. Am I doing good, Heather?
Yes, you're on target.
Thank you. So what materials will be released that week? We'll be releasing metal takeoff. We will be releasing miscellaneous takeoff related to this metal. What it means, we're not going to do any miscellaneous related to the panels or steel or something not by us. Also, we will be targeting to release the glass takeoff if glass takeoff is ready. We did have, I would say, 5 jobs when we could release the glass in the same week with metal takeoff. And this is our ultimate goal, to have everything released in 1 week. So what do we need to start our material takeoffs? So first of all, we need drawings and the Revit model completely ready from drafting. We need pre-takeoff meeting completed. So the pre-takeoff meeting needs to occur the week before. All the stage 1 data from Pedro needs to be completed. And also pallet schedule needs to be on the model applied. And it is important before we start to make sure the pallet schedule wasn't disturbed and not destroyed, because we can't really proceed without pallet schedule. And if something happened, something was removed, changed, we have to make sure it's all fixed before we're starting. Good question is, how much time do we need for material takeoff? So for normal size projects, we need about 2 days to set up and 5 days to create the takeoffs. What I mean normal size project, it's the project with the, let's say, 20 elevation sheets and 200 or 300 unique units. It's been normal size project. When we're talking about projects like natural resources with 1,000 unique units or 1100 Broadway, it's also was a big project. So we need 2 weeks to create the material takeoffs. So what do we do for the setup of a material takeoffs? We first, before we do anything, we check in the model. We check in the model using the same tool what drafting uses. It's our database on the wiki, Revit model check. We're looking here, but I have to say we don't go so deep like drafting. We only check in the things what relevant to us. And also we need the takeoff browser. We're using it in the Revit model. I'll show you a little bit later how we're using it. So the things we check on the model. So we check the hook locks, and let me show you really quick what we're actually checking on the hook locks and why it is important. So this is, let me open the right model. Let's look, for example, on Google Gibraltar. We just had it. So this is Google Gibraltar building 4. And let's say what we will look when we check in the model, what we look, what's the problem it might be with the hook locks. Just something I wanted to point. So if it is, oh, I have a section here. You can see here the hook lock is a little bit off in terms of like it's encroaching on the vertical. So if we see something like this, hopefully we notice it earlier. This is something not obvious. It will not tell us up and down, but this thing is also will be extruded on our unit for us a little bit off. So it's nice to see things like this earlier. And also when we use the takeoff browser, we're looking on the heights. Where is the hook lock located? Oh, sorry, it's a little bit, takes a little bit of time. Where did it go? So this is our takeoff browser. It's on the takeoff tab. We're using it a lot. We're using everything here, every single tab. It's very important. So this is where we look in the takeoff browser, and you can see a lot of items here. As for the hook logs, this is our hook logs, and we can see the height for them. And it's important to see something if we see some inconsistencies. So if we're looking just for the hook log, you can see on this job, they're all on the same height, just like they need to be. If something is off, we will see it easily here. So it's a good quick check to see. And another thing, what we check on the hook logs, is the components, just to make sure that it's the right part. You can see here. All right, move it away. Sorry. I have a lot of things open for some reason. All right. Give me 1 second. Sorry, for some reason I can't still start. I don't know, I'm having technical difficulties here. Give me 1 second, sorry guys. Okay, sorry. I'll just have to restart it. I don't know, it wasn't responding. All right. So we're talking about the model check. Okay. So maybe I shouldn't open Revit so often. So we're also checking sunshades. Sunshades, we're checking generic model. For the sunshades, we're checking the height, the same way we're checking it for the hook logs. Also important is positioning to the verticals. Gosh, I really wanted to show it to you guys because it is important aspect. To check, and it happens a lot. Let me show you really quick. You think what might be happening. So we have a sunshade here. This is our Vans project. And what could happen, it could be correct up and down, but it could be a little bit off left or right. All right. So you can see it's really slightly off. It's amazing, but it takes in consideration if your sunshade is not touching this body of this vertical, it takes it in consideration. If you have the sunshade not exactly, just slightly off, 30-second off position, it will start thinking that the sunshade is attached to the left side of this unit instead of the right side of the unit. So we're looking for the things like this. All right. You know, every time I open Revit, it starts freaking out on me. Guess I just shouldn't open the Revit. Margie, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't open the Revit. Every time I start open the Revit, it's like it's getting. Sorry about it. I will not open the Revit anymore. I don't know why it's doing that to me. All right. I'll just show the pictures instead. Okay. So the sunshade, I show you the sunshades. So we're checking the correct part on the sunshade. It needs to match to the detail. Elevation number data. So this number in the data of elevation on the model is important for field use tags exports, right, Margie? We're checking door profiles around the doors. Basically, we're checking if the profile shown in this detail is matching. And we applying or checking if the profile modifiers are correct on the model. So like you see here, for example, it's the next to the same door, we have profile modifier matching to the detail, and we just double checking the detail and verifying why we need the profile modifier here. And here you can tell it's a door jamb, but the fasteners attachment on the bottom is different. This is why it is not exactly the actual profile. This is why we need the profile modifiers. All right. We check the glass on the unit, but if we check the model, we don't go deep into the checking glass. We just checking if our joints are correct, because joints for some reason have been big issues, and we had a lot of problems with the joints. So when I say we check the glass on the model, we're mainly checking the glass, the joints on jambs or heads or seals. So you can see if this joint, you can see here the joint is 1/2 inch. On the detail, it's also 1/2 inch. So we are good here. We're also checking for inconsistencies on the key sheets. What I mean by this, for example, here you can see, you can spot things just by looking on the units. And it's a good first check. You can see, for example, this unit could be the same as those two, and for some reason it's not the same. So when we see something like this, we're trying to fix it and find out why. And this is actually the example of when the sunshade was slightly off. So this is why it wasn't recognizing it as the same units. So modeling adjustment, some job will require some adjustment from us. It would be example, for example, of Google Gibraltar. It's just one example. You can see if it is door like this, and we have an intermediate vertical above the door. When we're modeling it, we kind of either saying this vertical runs through or this horizontal runs through based on what checker wants, recommends to us. We are adjusting this, basically this connection or this connection for this matter. So saying, for example, here we want to have this vertical run through and this horizontal be split into two. So we have a way to go through and just change the continuity. Again, in data, you can see we're using a lot of stuff in data of the profiles. So what we would do, we would say continuity, for example, 1 for this horizontal and 2 for next horizontal, or 5 or 6, just to make the model recognize that it is split, it's not continuous, because default it is continuous. The important aspect we check on the model is the phase of the system. I guess it's understandable why it is important. So phase of the system, how the model is designed and built, needs to match the phase of the system what's shown on the details. It is important that the profiles are also designed for the phase of the system what we're using on the model, especially when we are designing the corners or segmented walls. All right. So important information from the pre-takeoff meeting notes. So pre-takeoff meeting notes, it is the opportunity for PM who knows the job the best at this moment. Here's the note from Nick. He wrote it. It's very nice. Thank you, Nick. It's opportunity for PM to transfer the knowledge by answering some common question, and it's a very important meeting, and we find out about job, all kinds of aspects on the job, what we need to know. So the main things from the pre-takeoff meeting for us, it's a lot of things important, but for the main thing, for example, it's the finishes. If it's 2 or more finishes on the job, if it's some kind of combinations of white and black on the same profiles, or it is just by the elevations, we find out on the pre-takeoff meeting, because it's important aspect for the takeoffs. So for example, this is the note from Vance, just letting us know that this elevation is a different color than another one. Also important things like hook lugs on the field, or could be glass on the field glaze, or could be some aspects like this. The panels are, for us, they are part of the glass takeoff. I mean glazed in panels. So when we do them, we need to get input from Sherwin, and if panels have some complicated shapes or different shapes, or they need to have a different adjustment for the corner just with the name, right now we have ability to add this glazing subtype. Basically, it is a profile modifier for the glazed in panels, glass, or whatever we need. And it gets addressed in a pre-takeoff meeting, and we usually get together with Sherwin and decide what we do before we go into the material takeoffs, because whatever we do with the glazed in panels will affect the numbering of our units, so we have to address it earlier. I guess why we're doing it, because we want to have everything on the model be synchronized as much as possible with our exports, because sometimes we re-export the things from the model multiple times, and we don't want to remember or change something manually on the units. We want to be synchronized in our AutoCAD exports as much as possible with the model. Also, the important aspect from the takeoff meeting notes, it's if we need different setting blocks or setting chairs. It's also a good moment to mention it, because it will affect our units. Again, we might will need, depends if it's an older job, we might need the profile modifiers on those horizontals. It will affect metal if it needs different chair. And also for miscellaneous takeoff, we usually will decide on the pre-takeoff meeting how we're gonna, what the part number we're gonna assign for those new setting blocks. And this is just an example from bands, I believe. The example, this is how we assigning different setting block for this normal seal profile. And it was graciously done by Salvador. Thank you very much. Stack length information. Anything we need to know about special stack lengths, it's very important to know on a pre-takeoff meeting. Anything like SRT cuts on the field, we need to know what they would like to have at that moment. 16 feet, 20 feet, what field would like to have. And also if it is some very tall elevations, some extra long stack lengths we need to know. Important information also is if we required shadow boxes and backpans, because shadow boxes and backpans, it's also part of our material takeoff, and we're taking it off together with the glass. Distribution. Margie, do you want to say something about distribution?
So
Please?
distribution is, as you know, for units, there's pallets. So that's really determined by the field. So that distribution is done. But distribution and pre-takeoff meetings, since everybody's there working with the field to find out how they want field parts to be done, is really important, because the way it optimizes on the program is it'll optimize by floor. So if it's not determined at pre-takeoff meeting, it can change the way it's optimized for field use. Like, for instance, extend covers, not so much SRTs if they're field, but if they're shop use, but definitely still tracks. So that's something, and this is also required, I guess, and I guess for multi-building project, just kind of touch base on that one. It's going to be more on the, we'll talk about it more, I believe, is that it's going to be, Yana brought it up with the, I guess, elevations have to be different. So that also is going to be take effect with what we want distribution. It's going to be the same for building to the other. So Yana, you want to go ahead and continue?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks. Thank you, Margot. Okay, we are always following our Revit SWIS for material takeoffs. I'm afraid to open the link because it might will blow up on me again. We following this SWIS we have on the wiki, and it's a lot of information related to the takeoff, a lot of little steps, but good to go through for us to remind us what we need to do if something happened, this and this. This is the good aspect about changing the face of the system. Just remember, if you take some phase one, the setup, it will be set up with the regular 2 1/4 face of the system. We need to remember always to, before we start doing something with it or making extras, to change the face of the system per the project. It's a lot of little things. If you're interested, you can go through. The main part for us is that this one, the final manual, because we always follow those steps, even if we do it every week, and even if we did it 100 times, and at least, right, Margot?
Yes.
All right. So stage 1 setup data, it's a very, very nicely done setup data from Pedro. It has already fabs assigned to it, and it's already checked. So all what we need to do for the stage 1 data, we just need to assign the details with actual details from our project. So after we check the model, check the profile modifiers, addressed all the issues we found, we are ready to export our units to AutoCAD. I really wanted to show it, but I'm afraid. Margie, do you think I should show it, or you will show it on the?
Profile modifiers.
No, the exports.
Oh, are you talking about for the field use?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can go over that one.
Okay, no, let me if I have to do the setup. Yeah. Okay, I will take a risk. I will put it down, and I will show you really quick about the exports. I'm scared.
Where are you setting that up? Did you want me to show them the field use?
You will just so the exports we will show to you maybe a little bit later. I have a for additional setup. So we already have a stage 1 setup. If we need something additional, usually we estimating it first. What do we need? And we can look it up here on the front, and you can see everything but red. It's pretty much we don't have data for it, so it's a reminder for us we need to set it up. So what we usually do, we just make it based on what we already have. So also another place we're looking for it, I kind of just want to show for the takeoff operators, I guess. It's in the queries. We also can look it up. Just to know which one we need to set up. So it's the same export, it's only in the queries. So it's the same one, and we can, why I like this one, because I can basically copy the name from here right away and paste it to the database. All right. Let me show you the exports. And again, we do the exports only when we have everything is checked on the model. And what we do, we run UPD. So I already ran UPD on this model. And we just go to this button and we create the tag drawings. And it's drawing it all for us. I'm not afraid to select it all because, for example, this job has like 160-ish units. And you can see how fast it goes for 160 units. It goes pretty fast. And it's a huge improvement compared to what we used to have, because we were not able to export the multiple units in the beginning. It was taking too long. And right now you can see 160 units takes less than a minute to export. And again, it's after we have all the data completed. All right. So little bit on the data setup, what we do if we don't have something. Let me show it to you really quick. So the units were just exported in 1 minute. I'll show you how they look. So they are coming in like this. So all this data is set up for us. Let's say we didn't set up something. Let's say let's say I don't have this here. So if I, for example, forgot to set up that profile, it's coming in red on the unit. Just a reminder for us to set it up, which is very nice. And when we run the unit, so you can see everything is exported here. Let me just open different unit. Oh, by the way, this is the unit where we had a sunshade landing on the left side. Just happened to be that unit. So if we run the unit first time, sometimes we have to do it twice, but when we run the unit first time, we're trying to check if the glass is sized correctly per this unit. We're not necessarily checking if it's sized correctly per that elevation, because it will just take a lot of time, and Carlos will be checking it anyway. But we are checking on the unit if the glass is relevant. We're also checking the glass type here. We're looking on elevation. But basically, we're looking if the glass bites looks okay. You can see it's sized correct. And I have to say, we don't have too many issues lately with the glass sizing, just because the tools what used, they really improved. We only have still issues with modeling itself. All right. Where is this thing? Margot, do you want to show something right now, just because I have to restart?
Okay,
again.
so I'll go a quick, mine will be a little quicker. And for field use, it's a little different.
Margie, you got muted for a sec. Sorry.
Yana, can I share screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, not allowed to share screen.
Hold on.
Yeah, sorry.
I will stop sharing.
Okay.
Oh. Okay. I think you should be able to share now.
Okay, so for mine, you know, Yana's already done UPD on the Revit. So now mine is based, I start looking into the CAD, because right now the field use is going to be tags coming directly out of Revit, but it's not going to be units. So we're based on using CAD drawings. So what I do right now is I look into the drawing folders and I check if these dates, you know, as protocol, they'll have exported CAD files at the same time that they have the review set. So what I'll do is I will select the elevations, because we don't want to be putting our tags on the actual CAD files here. And I will just select the elevations, and then I'll paste them, and I already have it in the field use key sheets. So, and then I would actually generate the script, so it converts. What it does, it will convert these files in an XREF that we could create. It creates those folder field use tags, where we can actually, what it does, it will have our standard layers that we need for takeoff, you know, glass layer, LMM1, that's also for break shapes and steel, that they can, this is basically, these two folders are really just for takeoff. And then, for instance, I already put tags in there, but going to be 205. So what happens first, though, is that usually it comes blank and it doesn't have a border, so we have to run it. So we have it set up to, we run a command, which is our setup, and what it does is it creates it so we can have, and one thing is it's really for rotation. If, you know, sometimes we have the file, if it's a curtain wall, we have to rotate it. But the one thing that noted is it does also create the correct font. So if you don't run it, you're going to run into the correct when you run UPD update, it doesn't have the correct font. So now once I've done that, that's one of the things I do right now. This has tags, but the other thing I also do is that same thing is on the takeoff. We also have that create draw tags, but mine isn't going to be the units. I would export all these elevations that are coming out of Revit, and I'm not exporting them directly into the elevations because they are separate. Every time you export it, it only will be one elevation. So if you paste this and you try to repaste this elevation, this disappears. So what I do is I just export in my own folder, the export tag. And then this is what comes out in Revit, right? It'll be white and I'll have the same information in it. What I end up doing is just copying and paste this into the elevation. An important thing, what I do too, is that if you realize on here, the sill is not going to have splices. So important thing about the field use is once we determine the stock length that we have in the pre-takeoff meeting is that we need to determine that if it's shown on the drawings that we have splices. And the key too with the splice is that, you know, depending, we need to make sure that there's an, for this job we don't need it, but embed exists if there is going to be a splice needed. And I picked one that didn't have a splice. But that's the other thing, they all just come in. A lot of the sill and the SRTs are just going to run long all across. So I'd have to splice them per what the stock length, or, you know, depending where we splice them, usually in the center of the bay. And then we would run it, and it's the same thing. And then this is how we generate our field use.
And also anchors, which
Yes,
don't have
and correct. Thank you for reminding me. And the important thing is I also, as you know, Yana mentioned earlier, we do miscellaneous takeoff. So now here it's important for us to know the anchors, you know, so that way we determine what for our miscellaneous, all these ticks are going to be the type of fasteners that we're going to be using to count it, to do the count.
All right. Oh my gosh, we are so late.
All right, Yana.
All right. Okay. All right. So the fun part, I call it fun part, because when the setup is done, we're ready to do all this fun exports. This is we just showed to you guys. The thing I wanted to mention on the fun part, what tools we use in Revit. I want to make, I want to say safe tools for us to use in Revit. The safe tools, we only basically using the Takeoff browser. Let me just, hopefully it will not freak out on me again. So we're using Takeoff browser, we're using ProVerties, we're using Project browser, just to view it. We're not doing anything on the model. And only tool we are using on the model a lot, it's HH and HR. It's the hide and unhide objects. This is the safe tools for the takeoff operator to use without messing anything up. We also know how to fix the glass bites, but if we see the glass, it's something more than just the glass bites, if it's the elevation size, we always go to drafter and asking drafter to help us to fix things what we see. We know how to change the profile for the metal, but again, we always trying to consult with the drafter and see if what we see on the model actually needs to be changed. So yeah, this is the safe tools to use. Exports, we just showed you exports. I'm glad we had a little bit of time to show it to you. Exports is really fun part is if everything's set up right, we can just sit back, relax, have a coffee, and just run UPD and watch those units make for us. Right, Margie? Collecting outputs for the project coordinator for checking. I can show you really quick. I don't want to go too long. It's for short on time. The typical would be it just happened to be a CSM, but it just, this is pretty typical where we put our, it's a material takeoff folder and we have glass, metal, miscellaneous, and this is where we're giving it to the checker to check. And we put our, we either put the cross if we address something, like for example, we either put it yellow through line, it depends how much time we have, or we change the name of the unit to say it's updated, like right here. So basically, if the project manager back checking our stuff, making sure that we updated everything what's supposed to be updated, this is just a way to know that at least we think we updated. We either change it on you as updated, or we put the yellow mark through. Oh, I think I did it again. Oh my gosh. I don't know why it's doing it. All right. And a little bit on the glass and glazed in panels. So the glass, if it is ready on the project, and I'm showing this example, for example, on this project, it wasn't ready, so it's not checked. But if it is ready, we have a Carlos available for us to check it right here, and it would be checked in the same folder right here. And we have a few projects where it was checked on the same project. I really wanted to show you the profile modifiers on the glass, but I'm just worried we're gonna run out of time again. I don't want to do it. All right. I think it's stalled again, Margie. Don't know why it's doing it. One thing I wanted to talk about, it was a miscellaneous takeoff. Just wanted to show you what do we do and what does it mean. Miscellaneous indoor takeoffs. The important aspect of the miscellaneous indoor takeoffs, they don't get checked by our project coordinator. They don't get checked by Carlos. We only check it ourselves, and it's important for PM to back check us, because sometimes, especially with the doors, what's shown on the drawings at that moment might have changed but wasn't addressed. So when we do the, for example, miscellaneous takeoff, we produce a lot of supporting files. I want to show to you. Let me show you really quick. This is like the recent job, and when we give it to the project manager, they might wondering, what are you giving it to me? Just give me a miscellaneous order form. But we do create extra files here. So when we release it, we usually say, because sometimes the folder has something else, So we would say this is where we're releasing from the takeoff group TOG, and this is the day when we release it. This is just how I start naming it, because sometimes it's a lot of files in the material PMs. So when we release the miscellaneous takeoff, we have quite a few files here. I think here PM already went through it. This PM was using it. It was Philip, good job. I'm very proud of you. But we release usually 3 files. One of the files is the miscellaneous order form, where we, if it's needed, we will add some manual stuff for, it will look like this, let's say for the gaskets. If we need some stuck link gaskets, we will put it here, and we will mention what is corresponding parts for the gasket. And we just highlight it here just to remind. We also make gasket checking form. So I'll just show it to you in the preview here, which is just a simply modification on our, and again, I think Peter used it, or not Peter, Philip used it, and he checked his gasket, you can see here. But when I given it to him, it's blank, but it's ready for checking the gasket. They can see the part, corresponding part, and see how much gasket they need. Like this gasket 23, it's the one gasket that goes on the middle between 2 verticals, and he's saying it's matching to whatever it is, wherever he has here. I don't know what he has here.
If you look at the file below that one, that's the one they went through and did the checking. So.
This is the one. Okay. Interesting. It doesn't look exactly how I gave it to you. You did something here. But here, so this is our head, right? This is our stack head, and the gasket 48 goes on the stack head. Also, gasket 48 goes on our seal track. So I don't see it here being checked, but it's okay. And one more file we give to PM, which is sometimes it's just for me, just a PDF. It's a snapshot of that shop drawings we're releasing it on. And it's for metal and for, it's also for miscellaneous takeoff. I don't know, it doesn't want to get open. What we do there, we leave our notes, what we checked, what we already went through. I know I can open on the preview. But basic knowledge here, if it's yellow, it means it is our miscellaneous takeoff. We took care of it. We checked it, it's there. If it's circled red, it means it's not there. And usually we put explanation why it's not there in the blue. Or if it's something was missing, but we added it, it's here too. And it's as well for the metal and for other miscellaneous parts. It's just a good back check. If you're looking for something or you're questioning something on the miscellaneous takeoff, maybe just back check with this part. For example, here, you can see this fastener. It is on the drawings. We would supposed to take it off, but we change it on the one on the stainless steel. This is just a good. All right. And the last aspect, what I wanted to show, sorry, it's still hanging our PowerPoint. I don't know, but anyway, I don't think we need it. Margie, let's touch base really quick on the first day check. The first day check, when we have Tony, when we have Heather, and when we have PM checking the material. Heather gives us feedback, what she sees, what would be important for ordering. And do you want to touch base on Tony, Margie?
Okay, so I think Tony's still here too.
I don't know.
I just talked to him, and basically he's got a big going through this. Really, optimization is a big thing for when Tony's doing his check. So what he does is he'll have us, especially if it's a unitized job, he'll have us do two different things. He will have us do releases, each release on he's checking each release against optimization support, because it only takes like the best doc links for the whole project. But Tony also will want a separate order per the week, and he checks that against each one. Basically, verticals, needing, if we do need, he checks on the yields and finishes there, and then check if we do need, depending on if it needs to have two stock lengths. It also has to do with the machine that it goes through for the horizontals, so depending on the machine it's going to, it's going to also decide on the stock length for that. So he goes through all of this for his check. And that's right, Tony? And then once he gets his, oh, okay. And sometimes too, it can, we can go back and forth just to make sure we can get the best optimization and the best stock links that we could order. So it can go, he can do his check and we can go back and forth, and, he's going to look through the whole project. So we need to give him the time as early as Thursday morning just to be able to look at the project, depending how big the project is, and verticals and everything. So he gives that back to us before we could even release our metal.
Just the main thing for PMs, Tony saves a lot of money. It's all
That's correct.
Money. Money is important. All right. One little point. We always have a Trello board. If PM doesn't create it, we create it. In Trello board, we leave all the notes we can think about it on the project on the stage 2. So if you want to see everything we noticed, everything like problems we have, we posted here for the next stage for the FABs to look at, and also it's a reminder for us to when we do the meeting to see what's going on. And then we do release to PM, which is exciting. And release to PM, as I told you earlier, we always using this paragraph. We go through the open, and this is the list what we given to PM for the metal takeoff, and we have a list for the glass takeoff also. And this is also, here's the list of what we given to PM for miscellaneous takeoff. I'm just a little bit worried about the time. All right, I think we covered most of the things. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to show you things because it was just stalling on me, and it is a lot of stuff to cover. We ran through
a bit of
very
technical
quick.
difficulty.
Yeah,
good.
sorry.
We covered it a lot.
Yeah. Just the main takeaway, I guess, it's not just metal takeoff. If you think that it is, we've taken off a lot of other materials that week, so it is important to have the model ready. And sorry, it's my kids running around. All right, Margie, do you want to add anything else?
No.
All right. All right. So I think we are done. Does anybody have any questions, concerns? I see something popping up.
I just have to say, thank God you guys are there to do this. That's a lot.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you.
That was a great training.
Oh gosh.
Margie, that was very
Okay.
I wanted to say thank you to all the PMs who helped me, because I've been part of the Kaizen, of the chicken Kaizen, metal chicken Kaizen. Nikolai, thank you very much for consulting me on a lot of things. And you guys, we are here for you, so to make sure all the material is ordered for the project. and make sure you have everything you possibly need. You can use what we give you, or you can pick and choose what you like to use, but we're giving you a lot of supporting material when we're just giving you the order form. So
Yeah, I think the presentation was awesome, and I think Lisa would agree with this, and Marco, that when Takeoff is producing something for us, we should be responding quickly and getting you answers, and because you're on a schedule too, and so I know for me, I appreciate all the things you do because you catch a lot of things and make our jobs a lot easier. But I did have a question on if you have lights that are different sizes, are those, and this would, I guess, take place in drafting as well, as long as it's drawn that way, but for the setting chairs and setting blocks, if they're different, is that taken into account in the miscellaneous order?
in the yes, so the setting blocks, if it was addressed in pre-takeoff meeting, remember?
Yeah.
If we were told we do have a different setting blocks or something, different chairs, it will be taken in consideration. But if you don't mention it to it, or it's not like a big fat note on the drawings to remind us about it, we might miss it. So we need to know about it during the
Right, and that goes the same thing for like the gasket, like a 433 gasket. If you have it, I know LinkedIn had that gasket, and we ordered it in 2 different sizes because it would have.
the stockling gasket.
Yeah, it wouldn't have optimized correctly.
Yeah, it is a question on the pre-takeoff meeting notes about the stockling gaskets. So it's always nice to give us heads up if some new gasket shows up and we know it needs to be ordered in stockling, so we can set up our materials this way. Yeah, it's been a privilege to be part of your Kaizen, Nick. I learned a lot about your pains, guys. I've been doing this and saying, okay, we'll have only 3 days to give it to Carlos to make sure he has time to check it and we have time to update it and release it on Friday. But you guys have only maybe 1 day to back check us, so we need to do our best to make sure we don't miss anything and give you as much heads up and notes as what we see on the project, so your job would be easy to back check us. But I definitely appreciated that, just seeing what you do, seeing what you go through. We are working right now on improving our communication. I think the Tuesday check became more important than before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
but like I think we've through the meetings we've had, we've been able to align your needs with what we're checking, and kind of change things around with the Thursday check and then the check after that. So we want to make it as efficient as possible, and we got to consider Takeoff's needs and where you guys are at in the middle stage too. So it's been a great addition to have you in the Kaizen for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. And thank you, Heather, too, for consulting me on in terms of vendors. I really wasn't familiar with it. I really appreciate it, Bear. You being here for me, and Heather is always on top of the things. If I asking her it needs to be done Thursday, she replies to me. Even if she's on the plane or somewhere else. All right, guys, I know you have another training to go to. I don't want to hold you off. So I hope it's been helpful for people who don't know material takeoffs. Thank you.
Thanks, Yana. Thanks, Margie.
Thank you, guys. Good job.
Guys.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
What's up, guys?
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.